Hi there, fellow philosopher. Occasionally I wonder if my mind is broken, and I guess you may too. Uh, that is, you may wonder about my mind, not yours. In any event, I'm truly happy that you are here today. This video is the first in a five-part series called It's Not the Problem You Think. The links to the other four are in the description below and can be watched in any order. So a question for you. Have you ever woken up and before your feet even touch the floor, your mind is already spinning? A conversation from 3 days ago, a deadline next week, something you can't even name, just this low hum of unease that follows you through the day. And here's the strange part. Objectively, life is fine, and you know it, but you don't feel it. You may have wondered, is something wrong with me? Well, what if the answer is no? What if what's happening in your mind isn't a malfunction? It's a pattern that humans have been struggling with for thousands of years. And what if 4 different ancient traditions, separated by oceans and centuries, all discovered the same way out? That's what this 5-part series is about. Most people think the problem is the thoughts themselves, the worry, the replaying, the worst-case scenarios that never happen, but feel completely real in the moment. So we try to fix the thoughts. We argue with them. We analyze them. That's what I do. We search for solutions. And somehow the more we try to think our way out, the deeper we sink. The ancients, they saw it differently. They saw that suffering doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from how you fight what happens to you, and fight what happens inside you. The Stoics had a name for it. The Skeptics had a question. The Epicureans had a garden, and the Taoists had a metaphor about muddy water. 4 traditions, 4 different approaches, one shared discovery. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's just doing what minds do. And once you understand how it works, you can stop fighting and start finding actual peace. Let's start with the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. These weren't academics in ivory towers. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, and he still woke up every morning and reminded himself that people would be difficult, chaotic, and ungrateful. The Stoic insight is brutally simple. Epictetus said it in one sentence. It's not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. 2 people face the exact same situation. One falls apart. The other stays steady. The difference isn't the situation. It's the mind meeting the situation. Now, the Stoics didn't teach emotional numbness. They taught something much harder. Taking full responsibility for your interpretations. You can't control the text that doesn't get a response. You can control the story you tell yourself about why. In video 2, we're going to do something a bit uncomfortable. I'm going to ask you to take a look at one specific worry in your life and separate what's actually happening from the story you've wrapped around it. Most people discover the story is doing all the damage. Now the skeptics, they were something else. Pyrrho, Sextus Empiricus. These names sound obscure. But what they discovered about overthinking is probably the most practical thing in this entire series. Here's what they noticed. The desperate need for certainty creates more suffering than uncertainty itself. You send a text, no response. Your mind fills the silence immediately. They're angry. You said something wrong. Maybe they're pulling away. But look at what's actually happening. You're not anxious about the silence. You're anxious about not knowing. Your brain treats uncertainty like a threat, so it manufactures stories, usually bad ones at that. The skeptics practice something radical. They practice saying, I don't know, not as defeat, but as release. In video 3, I'm going to give you 3 questions. They come directly from ancient skeptic practice. When your mind starts spinning stories into the silence, these 3 questions will stop the spiral. Not by giving you answers, but by showing you that you never needed them. Okay. This is one of the harder ones to see because our entire culture is built on its opposite. The Epicureans noticed that the more you need to be okay, the harder it is to be okay. Every new want becomes a new source of anxiety. The promotion, the great body, the recognition. None of these are bad things, but when your peace depends on them, you've handed the keys to your calm to something outside of your control. Epicurus didn't live in a palace. He lived in a garden with his friends. They ate simple food. They talked. The reason wasn't that ambition is evil. It's that dependence is exhausting. In video 4, we're going to look at one thing you're chasing right now. And I'm going to ask you a question that stings a little bit. Can you want it without needing it? Because the wanting isn't a problem. The needing is. That brings us to the Taoists. Lao Tzu and Zhuangzi, they had a metaphor I think about constantly. They said muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. The more you stir it, trying to fix it, the cloudier it gets. The mind works exactly the same way. When you're anxious, your instinct is to fix, analyze, solve, plan, control. But every time you do, you stir the water. Yes, the Taoist approach is completely counterintuitive. It says stop forcing. Not stop caring. Stop forcing. Let the water settle on its own. In video 5, we're going to do a 48-hour experiment. And I'm warning you now, it's going to feel wrong. You're going to do absolutely nothing about a specific worry. Not ignore it, not suppress it. Just do actual nothing. Just notice it and let it be there. Most people discover something surprising. The anxiety without the fighting is much smaller than the anxiety with it. 4 traditions, 4 tools, 1 video each. By the end of this series, you won't have a perfectly calm mind. That's not how human beings work. But you'll have something better. 4 specific practices you can reach for when the spiral starts. 1 from the Stoics, 1 from the Skeptics, 1 from the Epicureans, and 1 from the Taoists. The goal is not to eliminate the noise. The goal is to shorten the gap, the time between the trigger and when you catch yourself, between the spiral and your stepping back. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about one thing, just one, that's been weighing on you. Hold it in your mind. Because over the next 4 videos, we're going to take that exact same thing and run it through each of the traditions. By the end of this series, you're going to see it differently. And you're going to feel it differently. Now, philosophy thrives in conversation and argument. Drop a comment below. Which of the 4 traditions are you most curious about? Stoic, Skeptic, Epicurean, or Taoist? Let me know. And if this series sounds interesting, please give a gentle tap to the like and subscribe buttons. It helps more than you know. And remember, in all things and at all times, be a philosopher. I'll be seeing you soon. Bye-bye.